Welcome to the 6th special episode of the Student Recap Podcast Deck Overview. So today I'm just going to be showing my Pokemon decks, and yeah, let's get into it. So to start off with, we're going to have my main battling deck, which I'll explain, but it's mainly water type focused. So I'll just sort out the trainers and Pokemon. And I recently updated this deck so that it would be legal, but there's more on that later. And so basically my main engine is the Mew, and then you get the Chien-Pao and the Blastoise, which are the two main attackers. After you get those two main attackers, then you have Baxcalibur to attach the energies to Chien-Pao, then Super Rods and energy retrievals to get those energies back, because obviously there's a lot discarded. Night Stretcher just to bring stuff back, and also a few extras just so like the game runs more smoothly. So almost there. To start off with, we're going to have the Squirtle Blastoise evolution line. So Squirtle, I usually just rare candy up to Blastoise, but sometimes I have to use Wartortle. But mainly this Blastoise, so it has the Solid Shell ability, takes 30 less damage, and also I can do 280 damage per hit, but I do have to have 2 attached and 2 in my hand, so it's a little bit annoying. And I have like 2 different arts, so that's interesting. Then we have this Mimikyu, which it's basically a stalling thing, because most rule box Pokemon that people use, actually all rule box Pokemon that people use after rotation, won't be able to attack it. It would only be non-rule box. And then we have Frigibax, Arctibax, and Baxcalibur. Obviously super cold, I can attach any amount of water energies. Then I have my water energies. Obviously I do not have any other typed energies in this deck. And then Mew EX for restart, I just need to get some extra draws. Chien-Pao EX with Shivery Chill. Every time it's in the active spot, I get to draw up to 2 basic energy cards. Then Baxcalibur attaches to them. Hailblade, you discard any amount of water energy. And basically, you multiply for the water energy. And you really just need a lot of energy retrieval methods, because they're all in the discard each turn. Let's say you're wasting 6. You need Superior Energy Retrieval or Super Rod in order to get them back onto the playing field. And so let's say I need my items. So my items here, so on the bottom, Earthen Vessel, this is pretty useful. Switch, Defiance Vest when I'm above on prize cards. Great Ball, just need it. Night Stretcher, that's important for bringing back stuff. Buddy Poffin, that's to get my Frigibax and Squirtles on the field. Ultra Ball, obviously, Pokegear. Just general item cards. There's nothing too special in here. Yeah, other than Night Stretcher. Now, my support is a little bit different. So Morty's Conviction, usually, this used to be a Palkia deck, so it was really useful when people had a lot of Pokemon on their bench, because I would be hitting for a lot and I'd be drawing for everything on their bench. Arvin, obviously, Boss's Orders. Professor's Research, that's just really good, because sometimes I get these massive hands with this deck that aren't useful at all, so I have to go through that. And then, in addition to this, so I used to have Irida, it's somewhere around here, but Irida would really be helpful for Blastoise, because I could have Squirtle, then just Irida, Rare Candy for Blastoise, and yeah, I'd already be there next turn. Baxcalibur is a little bit harder to pull out, because I do have to use that Rare Candy or evolve to Arctibax. So this is a little bit of a play on the original idea for the Chien-Pao deck. I know there's some other variations to it, but I think that it's a pretty effective deck. And Chien-Pao has the hidden thing that, let's say Iron Hands or Miraidon can't attack it, because it's actually Ice type, therefore weak to Steel, and it's only weak to Goldango. But Goldango does destroy Chien-Pao pretty easily. Now, moving on, I have a pretty much out of rotation fighting deck, which will just get sorted out here. But it's Lucario, as you can tell from the sleeves. And, I mean, it's a pretty fun deck. I wouldn't say it's a particularly effective one since I've gotten most of my cards out. But it relies on Arceus and some other Lucarios to inflict damage. And I had one of my friends, David, play with this a few times, and he actually found a way to make it super strong, but I'm not as good as him as like Pokemon playing wise, so I would not know how to make this deck like better play wise. Toadscruel, I'll explain that later why that's really fun. Grant, that's super important to this deck. Lake Acuity as well. So this deck, I mainly get Trinity Charge and also Arceus VSTAR to get my energies around. And then I can just slam with my attacks because Lucario, and I used to have a Decidueye VSTAR, they can just hit really hard, especially this Lucario, which I'm going to talk about soon. So, this Lucario, and I have my Riolus. So, what it does is, Roaring Resolve, you put 20 damage counters on it, and then you can put a Fighting Energy and attach it. If you already had one in your hand, then that's already 120 damage. If you start stacking that per turns, 2 turns of that, you're already at 240 damage. And if there's weakness, it makes it even better because single prizer, you don't have to worry about anything. All you have to worry about is loading it up. Now, unfortunately, since it is F-stamped, it's going to go out of rotation soon, so it doesn't work for normal games. Now, here I have Arceus VSTAR. I usually play it first turn because Trinity Charge, I could get 3 energies to my Vs, and Starbith, really useful for just finding cards. Trinity Nova only does 200, but you also get 3 more energies. Lucario VSTAR or a Star, if your opponent is really loaded up, like let's say, let's say Iron Hands, they need 4 energy. Well, Aura Star is going to do 280, Iron Hands is knocked out. And then Fighting Knuckle, even though it won't apply anymore, if your opponent is a V, then you do 120 more damage. Now, if you guys were wondering why this is in my energies pile, it's because Arceus is much easier with double turbo, even though it does 1 less damage. Next, we'll go through the items. So, Turbo Energize, get more energy, Defiance Vest to protect, Hisuian Heavy Ball. So, if you guys don't know what it is, it basically just helps you find Pokemon in your prizes, because often that happens. Gutsy Pickaxe, it just helps because it's fighting. It's basically like trekking shoes. Lake Acuity, I used to use it in both my decks. So any Pokemon with water or fighting energy attached get 20 less damage. Ultra Balls. Energy Lotto, it's basically like Energy Surge. Capturing Aroma, because this needs evolutions. Defiance Van, basically the opposite of Defiance Vest. Artisan, I need the Riolus and the Toadscruel and the Toadscruel. Oh yeah, forgot to talk about that. So, Toadscruel and Toadscruel, Slime Mold Colony, once you evolve it, your opponent can't use items or abilities to get trainer cards. So, yeah. And also, Technical Machine Evolution, that's not really important. But I was going to say, oh yeah, Trekking Shoes, it's basically like Gutsy Pickaxe. But the Gutsy Pickaxe applies specifically for fighting, because if it's a fighting energy, you can attach it. Or, well, put it into your hand, and then you would be able to attach it. As for the other supporters, so Faulkner, if there's a stadium in play, you get to draw 2 more cards. Larry, you get to search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon. Pretty easy. Grant, it helps with fighting type Pokemon, and you can bring it back from your discard. Norman, if your opponent is an EX, draw 2 more cards. Zissou, this one's really helpful for, let's say, Goldango deck when they're stocking up on energy, because then you can get like 10 cards in your hand. Roark, you get a basic energy from your discard pile and draw 2. Nervzisu. Gita, I don't really like it that much. I used to have a Koraidon in my deck that the Gita was useful for. So you put 2 basic energy cards in it and attach them to one of your Pokemon. And the main strategy of this deck is just to stall the opponent by getting more and more cards so that your opponent is like super weak against your Taxi because you're so loaded up on energy. There's not really a way to outmaneuver them if they have effectiveness against you, because let's say the Gardevoir EX deck, it just destroyed this deck because Psychic has advantage. I mean, other than the Arceus, you wouldn't really be able to do anything. But the one advantage about the Arceus is that Arceus has 280 HP, can't be knocked out that easily. In addition to this, the Blastoise in the other deck, when it's paired with Defiance Vest, Lake Acuity, and its ability, let me just find it. It can take up to minus 90 damage since Solid Shell already has the base 30, plus 20 from Lake Acuity, plus 40 from Defiance Vest. It's just a super tanky Pokemon. And what would be really bad for it is Gravity Mountain, since the stage 2s get minus 30 HP. But generally, these decks, they're not really competition ready. But as you can see, like, there's definitely some planning within them. And I hope you guys, like, see some tips from them. Now, sorry for the weird upload schedule as well. I wish I could have uploaded a normal video today. But I just think that even though you guys aren't getting the same content on the same day, you're still getting the same content in the end. So I apologize for that in advance. Thank you for watching the 6th special episode, and I will see you guys on Tuesday for the main episode release.